Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Symptoms for real stories that could save a life.
Monica Laramie had everything most people dreamed of, at least on the surface. Her mansion in the Hamptons, the sleek Tesla parked in the circular driveway, a calendar booked with charity galas and boardroom meetings. A celebrated interior designer turned entrepreneur, Monica had turned her eye for detail into a multi-million-dollar empire. She was featured in Architectural Digest and had even done a segment on Good Morning America, yet, for all the magazine covers and accolades, there was something else Monica was known for, being an unattainable force of nature. To her clients and colleagues, she was untouchable, powerful, composed, always one step ahead. But to her teenage daughter Ava and 10-year-old son Dylan, she was simply unavailable. Monica's days began before sunrise, and most nights ended after midnight. Nannies rotated like clockwork. Meals were delivered, birthday parties outsourced, bedtime stories replaced with text messages. It wasn't that she didn't love her children, she did, fiercely. But she believed she was sacrificing now to give them a better future, until her body began to betray her. It started subtly, fatigue that felt like jet lag after a red eye, even on days she hadn't left Manhattan. Then came the ache in her left breast. She assumed it was stress, perhaps a strained muscle from one of her rare attempts at Pilates. But when she noticed the small dimple on the side of her breast while getting dressed one morning, a flicker of panic danced through her chest. She ignored it. "I don't have time for this," she muttered to herself, pulling on her silk blouse and rushing off to a high-profile client meeting. Days turned to weeks. The pain worsened. Her assistant Anna noticed her spacing out more often, her hand occasionally pressing to her side as if trying to soothe something internal. Monica waved it off. Just a pulled muscle. Probably from lifting Dylan's science fair model. Ava, now 16, had begun acting out more at school. Monica received emails about skipped classes and a drop in grades. When Monica confronted her daughter, Ava shouted, "Why would I bother? You're never around anyway." Monica flinched, but didn't argue. She didn't have the energy. It wasn't until she nearly collapsed during a photo shoot for her upcoming home decor line that her world truly shifted. Her vision blurred, the ground tilted. She steadied herself on a marble countertop, hoping no one noticed. But her photographer caught her pale expression and insisted she go to the hospital. Reluctantly, she agreed, only because she had a gap in her schedule and figured it was a good time to get this over with. The mammogram was followed by an ultrasound. Then a biopsy. Each step chipped away at the illusion of control she'd so carefully curated. 2 days later, her doctor called with the results. "Monica," he said, gently. "You have stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma. Breast cancer." She felt her knees give out beneath her. The phone slid from her hand, clattering to the Italian marble floor. The words echoed in her ears, breast cancer. Her first thought wasn't of herself, but of Ava and Dylan. She hadn't even taken them to the park in over a year. She had missed Ava's last 3 recitals. Dylan had stopped asking her to play Legos weeks ago. Tears stung her eyes for the first time in what felt like years, all the success in the world, and yet she was completely alone when she heard the news that could take it all away. The next morning, Monica sat on the edge of her custom-upholstered chaise, staring at the sunlight slicing through the curtains. She hadn't slept. Her phone buzzed with messages from designers, vendors, and influencers wanting her input. The world outside still saw the same woman, Monica Laramie, empire builder, tastemaker, perfectionist, but inside, everything was unraveling. She'd scheduled a follow-up appointment with an oncologist for the next day, barely able to process the words treatment plan. She knew it would likely involve surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, the trifecta she had only read about in articles and fundraising campaigns she'd attended in diamond earrings and tailored gowns. Now she was one of them. A patient. A statistic. Monica tried to think about how she would tell Ava and Dylan. How do you tell your children, already feeling abandoned, that you may not be around to see them grow up. That evening, Ava stomped into the house, earbuds in, eyebrows furrowed. Monica waited in the kitchen, a pot of water boiling on the stove, her first attempt at cooking in months. "You're home early," Ava said, suspicion in her voice. "I thought I'd make dinner," Monica replied quietly. Ava stared at her. "Are you okay? I need to talk to you." Ava sighed and pulled out a chair, scrolling on her phone. Monica reached across the counter, took her hand. Her daughter flinched. "It stung." "I'm sick, Ava," she said finally. "I have breast cancer." Ava's eyes lifted. "What? What do you mean? How bad is it?" Monica could see the panic flash across her face, the vulnerable little girl beneath the hardened teen exterior. "Stage 2. It's serious, but treatable. I caught it early enough." Ava said nothing for a long moment. Then she snapped, "Is that why you've been so out of it lately? You knew and didn't tell us?" "I didn't want to worry you. I wasn't sure what it was until—" "Of course you didn't," Ava interrupted, her voice breaking. "You never tell us anything." Monica tried to reach for her again, but Ava stood up, face flushed. "You don't even know my best friend's name. You didn't even realize Dylan has nightmares when you're not here." Monica's heart broke a little more. She wanted to scream that she'd done it all for them, that the business, the long nights, the awards, were all about building a legacy for Ava and Dylan. But in this moment, none of that mattered. What they needed was her, not her legacy. "I'm sorry," Monica whispered. Ava didn't respond. She turned and walked upstairs, leaving Monica alone with the sound of boiling water and a pounding in her chest. The next morning, Monica brought Dylan into the garden with her. The air was fresh, cool. He was building a Lego castle on the patio. "Hey, bud," she said gently. "Can I help you with that?" He looked up, confused. "You never help with Legos." "I know," she said, her throat tight. "But I want to." He beamed and handed her a piece. As they worked in silence, Monica realized she didn't remember the last time she'd just been with her children. No meetings. No emails. No excuses, but it wasn't long before her energy drained. Her back ached, her hands trembled. She excused herself and went inside, locking herself in the bathroom and leaning over the sink, breathing hard. Her body was failing her, and fast. The oncologist confirmed the next day what she feared: they needed to act quickly. Surgery first, followed by aggressive chemotherapy. "You should also consider taking a leave from work," the doctor said. Monica nearly laughed. "You don't know my industry." "I know cancer," the doctor said, gently but firmly. "You won't be able to do this and keep pretending everything's normal. And if your family doesn't become a priority now, they may not be there when you want them to be." It hit her like a freight train. She was so used to control, to being the engine that powered everyone around her. But now she was being told to stop. To surrender. To ask for help. Could she do that? Later that night, Monica opened her laptop and drafted an email to her assistant, instructing her to cancel all public appearances and client work for the next 6 weeks. Her finger hovered over the send button. Her business had never taken a pause, but her life, her real life, was already slipping away. She hit send. Monica woke up to a silent house the day of her surgery. No conference calls, no makeup team, no stylists laying out her outfit for the next shoot. Just her thoughts, and the gaping unknown. She sat at her vanity mirror, face bare, a silk robe hanging off her shoulders like a memory of who she used to be. Her reflection was unrecognizable. Not because of any physical change, yet, but because of what she now saw beneath the skin: fear. Her driver arrived at 5:30 a.m. Ava and Dylan were still asleep. Monica left notes on their doors in her flowing cursive handwriting: "Mommy's going to be okay. I promise I'll fight." At the hospital, the sterile chill cut through her like a knife. She felt like a number, not a name. Nurses prepped her, hooked her to machines. A surgeon explained the procedure again, but her mind was a carousel of worst-case scenarios. "I'll see you on the other side," she whispered to herself as the anesthesia blurred her vision. Hours later, she woke up to a throbbing pain in her chest and the realization that part of her body was now gone. The lump, the threat, the fear, cut out. But the scar would be permanent. As with everything it had cost her, she stayed in the hospital for 2 nights. On the second evening, Ava and Dylan came with their nanny. Ava's arms were crossed, eyes puffy. Dylan clutched a stuffed panda. "Hey," Monica said weakly. Ava stood awkwardly at the foot of the bed. "You look tired." Monica smiled. "I feel like I got hit by a freight train." Dylan climbed onto the edge of the hospital bed and placed his panda on her chest. "You can borrow him. He helps me sleep." That nearly undid her. Tears filled Monica's eyes. "Thank you, sweetheart. That means more than you know." For a brief moment, the walls between them began to fall. Recovery at home was harder than Monica anticipated. The weakness, the nausea, the brain fog, it turned everyday tasks into mountains. She tried to answer work emails once, only to pass out halfway through a reply. She was forced to let go. Her home, once a showroom of elegance and perfection, now looked lived in. Toys on the floor. Laundry baskets in the hallway. Dishes in the sink. Monica, once obsessed with clean lines and curated aesthetics, began to find comfort in the chaos and, strangely, in the stillness. She started having real conversations with Ava. Not interrogations about grades or curfews, but open, raw talks. One night, Monica found her daughter on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the stars. "Mind if I join?" she asked. Ava shrugged. Monica sat down beside her. "I've missed you," Monica said quietly. "I missed you too. But I stopped expecting you to show up." The words were a dagger. But Monica didn't defend herself. She nodded. "I was scared," Monica admitted. "Not just of the cancer, but of failing at being your mom. I thought if I built this big life for you, it would make up for everything else." Ava blinked back tears. "I didn't want a big life. I wanted you." That night, they cried together under the stars. 2 women, one barely grown, the other suddenly frail, learning how to hold each other through pain. As chemotherapy began, Monica shaved her head preemptively. She didn't want to wait for the hair to fall out in clumps. Ava helped her cut it, something that bonded them in a way no shopping spree ever could. "You look kinda badass," Ava said, forcing a smile. "Thanks," Monica said, winking through watery eyes. "I'm going for the high-fashion warrior look." Dylan joined them with colored markers and drew little stars on her bald scalp. "Now you're superhero mommy." Monica laughed. And for the first time in a long time, it wasn't forced. She still had a long road ahead. But for once, the empire didn't matter. The invitations went unanswered. Her inbox stayed full, but untouched. Her life was no longer about control. It was about connection, and she was finally starting to see that she hadn't lost everything. She'd found what mattered most. By the 3rd round of chemo, Monica's body felt like it had aged a decade. Her once perfect posture slumped. Her nails, once manicured to perfection, were yellowing and brittle. Even lifting a coffee mug sometimes took too much effort. Yet something remarkable had begun to bloom beneath the surface: acceptance. For the first time in her life, Monica wasn't trying to outperform, outdesign, or outwork anyone, not even herself. She began waking up early not to check emails, but to watch Dylan sleep. His small chest rising and falling, his tiny hands wrapped around his stuffed panda. She'd stand in the doorway of Ava's room and listen to the soft clicks of her keyboard as she worked on essays late into the night. Monica had missed so much, but she was finally paying attention. She had hired a part-time caretaker, not because she couldn't afford more help, but because she wanted to be present in her own recovery. Every painful moment, every headache, every dizzy spell was hers to bear, and hers to learn from, but not everyone was convinced by her transformation. One day, Ava stormed into Monica's room holding a letter. "You're going back to work." Monica blinked, caught off guard. "What? No. What are you talking about?" "This email," Ava snapped, thrusting her phone toward her mother. "Your assistant sent out a tentative return to business notice. You're not even halfway through treatment." Monica's stomach twisted. She hadn't authorized anything like that. "Let me see that." It turned out her team had assumed she'd want to return by mid-fall. After all, the holiday design season was huge for her brand. Ava stared at her, voice trembling. "So that's it? You're already checking out again?" "No," Monica said firmly. "No, I didn't approve that. I promise." Ava turned away, fighting tears. "You always say you're here now. But you're always halfway out the door." Monica stood slowly, her knees shaking, and walked over. She gently turned Ava to face her. "Listen to me. I don't care if my company falls apart. I don't care if I lose every client I ever had. None of that matters if I lose you and your brother. You swear?" Ava whispered, "I swear. You are my everything now. You always were, I just couldn't see it through all the noise." Ava threw her arms around her mother and sobbed into her chest. Monica held her tight, letting the tears soak through her shirt, through her skin, into her soul. That night, Monica composed a long email to her staff. She told them to pause everything indefinitely. No soft relaunches. No press releases. No quiet testing the waters. "This is not a rebrand," she wrote. "This is a rebirth. And I need time to become the person who deserves a second chance, not just as a professional, but as a mother." She cried after hitting send, not from fear, but from relief. Monica's inner circle began to evolve. Her old friends, the high-powered socialites and business moguls, had mostly stopped calling. They didn't know what to do with her now. Cancer made people uncomfortable. Vulnerability made them uneasy, but Monica had found new people, real ones. There was Sharon from her support group, a retired school teacher with stage 4 breast cancer, who shared stories that made Monica laugh and cry in equal measure. There was Nurse Camila, who braided her hair before every chemo session and slipped her peppermint oil for nausea. There was even the barista at the local cafe who always wrote, "You've got this," on her cup. For once, Monica's world wasn't curated, it was true. Then, one morning, during what had become her and Dylan's routine breakfast Lego time, he looked up and asked, "Mommy, are you still sick?" Monica paused. "I'm getting better." "Will you die?" The question sliced through her. She bent down to his eye level, tears brimming. "I don't know. But I'm fighting really hard so I can be here with you for a long, long time." Dylan nodded seriously. "Good. 'Cause I'm building a space castle, and I want you to live in it." She laughed, full and honest. "I'd love nothing more." She was still bald. Still bruised. Still tired. But she was also, finally, awake. The leaves had begun to fall when Monica received the news. After months of surgery, chemotherapy, and the emotional upheaval of her life, her latest scans showed no evidence of disease. Her oncologist delivered the news with a smile. "You're in remission, Monica." Those words didn't quite bring the wave of euphoria she'd expected. Instead, it was something quieter. Heavier. A deep, grounding sense of gratitude. A reverence for time that she now realized she had wasted chasing everything except the things that truly mattered. She walked into her house that afternoon, not to a perfectly curated living room, but to Dylan's toy truck parked on the stairs, a sock half stuffed under the couch, and Ava humming along to a playlist in the kitchen while making a sandwich. This was the real luxury, being here, that night, they celebrated. Monica didn't throw a party or hire a caterer. She made spaghetti from a recipe she'd Googled. Ava set the table. Dylan made hand-drawn place cards for each seat. Monica couldn't remember the last time they had dinner together without a nanny or takeout bags or screens. Midway through the meal, Ava raised her glass of sparkling water. To Mom. The strongest woman I know. Monica blinked fast to keep the tears from spilling. Dylan raised his too. To Mommy's space castle. They clinked. Monica closed her eyes for a second and breathed in the moment. The smell of tomato sauce. The clatter of plates. The giggle Dylan couldn't hold back. Her daughter, smiling again. Her body, scarred, but still fighting. That a few weeks later, Monica visited the offices she hadn't set foot in for almost a year. Her assistant met her at the front. We didn't think you were coming today. I'm not staying long, Monica said, adjusting the scarf tied gently around her bald head. I just needed to do something. She walked into her office, still pristine. Not a file out of place. The corner desk still held a photo of her and the kids from a glossy magazine shoot. It felt fake now, like someone else's life. She sat down and wrote a resignation letter. She would dissolve her company. Not because it had failed, but because she had finally realized that her success wasn't in the awards, or the clients, or the acclaim. That it was in her daughter reaching for her hand again. That it was in Dylan falling asleep on her shoulder during a movie. That it was in the quiet hum of the washing machine, the chaos of a living room with life in it, the laughter that echoed through the halls she once built only for display. She walked out of the building with a single box of belongings and never looked back. Months later, Monica stood at a local high school auditorium, not as a businesswoman, but as a breast cancer survivor and speaker at a women's health event. Her voice trembled at first, but then found its rhythm. I was the kind of woman who had it all, on paper, she told the audience. But I nearly lost everything that made life worth living. My diagnosis didn't just change my body, it changed my priorities. Cancer stripped away my excuses, my distractions, and showed me who I really was. And who I wanted to become. She paused. I thought strength meant keeping everything together. But real strength was learning how to let go, of perfection, of control, of the image I clung to so tightly. A few women in the audience cried. Some nodded silently. Her words weren't rehearsed. They were raw, imperfect, and true. Afterward, Ava met her backstage with a bouquet of flowers. You were amazing, she said. Monica smiled. I just told the truth. Later that night, Monica tucked Dylan into bed. He was older now, taller, a little bolder. But he still liked his panda. And he still asked, are you going to be okay? I think I already am, she said. That he kissed her cheek. Good. 'Cause I need help with my moon base tomorrow. Monica turned out the light and stood in the doorway, watching him sleep. She thought of the empire she'd once built, the brand she had bled for, the identity that had once consumed her. None of it was left, and she didn't miss a bit of it. What she had now was something else. Something stronger. Something permanent, presence. This is the story of a woman who had everything, except time for what truly mattered. It took a life-threatening diagnosis for her to finally stop running, stop proving, and start living. Behind the symptoms, we share stories like Monica's not just to inform, but to remind you that success isn't always what it looks like on the outside, remind you to pay attention to the whispers in your body before they become screams, remind you to stop and live, before life forces you to.